how do you trade in Bitcoins? Basically, end result, what matters is how do you make money using Bitcoins. It's a good thing. It's a good thing which you should know. Okay, so after this, let me continue with this because I need to write the second function. So I say define,
So one
create.
second, sir. I have just started
Yes.
recording, sir.
Okay, right. Okay, so I said define create block of self, and then I say proof, and then I say previous hash. This again, I make this conditional. Now what I need to do, I need to specify what is in my block because we are adding the first block. So I say what is in my block. So I say block is nothing but I say the index, which the index or the block will be the length of self dot chain. I'll add this to 1 because initially the base block is created by the one on top. So we are adding one more block to that. Then thereafter I say all this, I take it as dictionary values. I say my timestamp, which is nothing but the string of datetime dot datetime dot now. So this will help me create two of the entries in the block. What else is required in the block? We need a proof of the block. So I say proof, which will be nothing but my proof. Then I need to also say what is my previous hash. So I say my previous underscore hash is nothing but my previous underscore hash. And now what I need to do, I need to add this block to the block which was created earlier. That is the base block. So what I shall say self dot chain dot append this to the block which we are created, which we are creating this block. Now what I need to do, I need to return the block. Perfect. Now let's see. It's better in Python if you keep trying it again, no problem. So I say append of block, and this should be here. Yeah. Self dot chain. Yeah. Now it should not give me any error. Okay. Return of block. Fine. Now what I need to do, I need to create another function which will be created to display the previous block. So creating another function to display the previous block, what I shall be doing, I shall say defined uh, print previous block of self, make it conditional, and I need to return the self dot chain and this of -1. Now let's try this because see, good thing in blockchain is it is better always trying each and every patch of code which you write. Otherwise, in the end, it is going to result in a big horror. Now what I do, I add few more functions. That is, I add another function which is the function for proof of work, and this is used to successfully mine the block. So adding another function for the proof of work, I'll say proof of work of self and previous proof, and we make this conditional. Then we say new underscore proof, we give it as 1. And what else do we say? We say check proof, I set it to false. Let's try this. Perfect, no problem. Spelling of false. Okay. Now what I need to do, after I have created the function for proof of work, I have to see now, since I have set this check proof as false, I'll have to say what will happen if this proof is false. So I say while check underscore proof is false, while this thing is false, conditional, the hash operation becomes hash underscore operation. This is nothing but my hashlib dot sha 256, and here I would have my string of the new proof raised to the power 2, that is the square of the new proof, minus previous underscore proof raised to the power 2. This whole thing I am going to encode it. I say dot encode, and then what we do, I cannot forget my hex digest, because otherwise my block won't be created in the blockchain. Now, I have to also take random 4 elements and see if this check proof is false or not. So continuing with this, I say if hash underscore operation, I take 4 elements and I say this, assign this a value. Say I say 00000 and make this conditional. Then I say check underscore proof is true. Now, what happens? Since I've used the if statement, I have to close it using a else statement. Else, what happens? I increment this new proof. I say new proof plus equal to 1. And then finally, what I need to do, I need to return this new proof. Since we have done the small block, let's try it. Wonderful. No error. Now, what else I need to do? I have created my proof of work. Check this. Fine. I need to define the next function I need to define is the hash, where I will be doing this JSON dumps. So what I do, the next one I say is define hash of this self and block, make this conditional. Then I say encoded underscore block is JSON dot dumps of block, and I say sort keys, I set it to true. I say true. And finally, I need to encode this. Now, what I need to do, since I've created an encode block, I have to return this hashlib. I say return hashlib.sha256 of this encoded underscore block, and definitely I have to say hex digest. And this is another function which I've created of this hash function. Now another one more function what is left now, after doing all this, that is creating the hash proof of work, I have to see if this chain is valid or not. So let's create another function to see if this chain is valid. So what I do, I say define chain underscore valid of this self and chain. We say now what I will be doing, I'll say this previous block is the block index has set it to 1. So before that, I need to say my previous block is my chain of 0, the first item in the chain. Then I also say my block index as 1. Now, what I need to do, what if, tell me one thing, what if this block index is less than the length of the chain? Then you need to say that the block becomes the chain of the block index. So we need to specify that also over here. So we say while block underscore index less than length of chain, make this conditional. I say my block is the chain of this block underscore index. Then now I'll also have to specify, since I've used a while statement, I'll have to even specify what if the block of the previous hash is not equal to the hash of the previous block. If such a condition, I definitely have to return false. So what I say if block of previous hash, this is not equal to self dot hash of the previous block. Definitely I have to make this conditional. I have to return false. Now, this now what happens? Since I have told the block of my previous hash is, if it is not equal to the hash of the previous block, then we return false. Then I have to even specify the proof of this. So what we shall do? We shall say previous underscore proof is previous underscore of, and thereafter I say 1 second, yeah, of proof. Then I say my proof is nothing but my block of proof. Then I have to specify my hash operation. I say hash operation is nothing but my hashlib dot sha 256 of my string of this proof raised to the square of proof minus previous proof raised to the power 2, and whole of this thing will be, we will encode it and run this hex digest on it. So I say string of proof raised to the power 2 minus previous proof raised to the power 2, this, and I shall encode this. Now what I need to do, I need to run my hex digest. Done. Now till this, let me just see this. It's fine. Wonderful. No errors. Till here we are going fine. So now if the hash operation, like earlier in this, oh, the spelling here, we are given it wrong. Now since I have told if the hash operation is this 5 zeros, once again I say if the hash operation of this is not equal to 5 zeros, what will happen? Here I have told is equal to 5 zeros. So the same thing I shall copy over here. I shall say if hash operation of this 4 spaces which I take is not equal to these 5 zeros, definitely I have to return false. And then I have to say my previous underscore block is my block. And I definitely have to increment the block index. So I say my block index plus equal to 1. And in the end, what I need to do, I need to return true for this. Return the true value. That's it. Let me just try this. Great, no errors. Now what we need to do, now our block, the initial block as well as the first block of the blockchain is ready. Now what I need to do, I need to host this block. Where is that I'm going to host this block? It is only possible on web. So to host it on the web, what I'll do, I'll use my local machine as the server, and I'll use Flask to host it. So what I do, I create a web app using Flask, for which I shall say app equal to Flask of this underscore underscore name underscore underscore. Now I need to create the object of the class blockchain. So I say blockchain equal to blockchain. Okay, have I spelled it correct? Yeah. Okay, now till here, let's try this. This is basically we are creating a web app. Now I need to mine a new block. To mine a new block, what I need to do, few standard lines we need to write when I need to mine a new block. I shall be saying at the rate app dot root of uh, mine underscore block, which I shall say using these methods. I'll use the get method to mine the block. I'll use the get method. Then what I need to do, I need to define this mine underscore block, make this conditional. Then here I need to specify what is my block, what is my previous block, what is my previous proof, and what is my previous hash. So what we shall do, we shall start off with the previous block. So I say previous underscore block is blockchain dot print underscore previous underscore block. Then I say, what next shall we do? We shall do the previous proof. Previous proof is nothing but our previous underscore block of proof. So we have specified the previous block as well as the previous proof. Now we need to specify our proof and the previous hash. So our proof is nothing but blockchain dot proof of work of the previous proof. Now where else do we need to? Now I need to specify my previous hash. So I say my previous underscore hash is my blockchain dot hash of the previous block of my previous block. Now what else is left? I need to specify what is my block. So I say my block is blockchain dot create underscore block of proof comma previous hash. That's it. So this should help me to start mining. It will not mine, it will help you to start mining. So what I need to do, I need to add few more lines to this. Basically, when we start mining, we need some kind of a message. Basically, the system has to tell that it has already started mining, for which I shall say my response, let it be dictionary value. Again, I say message, I say a block is mined. Then I also say what is my index. Index is nothing but we say it is the block of the index. And then I also say what is my timestamp. Timestamp I say is the block of my timestamp. And then what else do we need to say? We need to even specify the proof. The proof is once again the block of proof. Then after this, what I need to say, I need to specify on my previous hash, which I shall say is nothing but the block of previous hash. Is there anything else? Fine, nothing. Now what we shall do, we will finally return JSONify. We will return JSONify of this response, and definitely we have to return back 200. If you remember, all those who are with me for web scraping, I told you minute you get this 200, that means you have gained a proper access into it. It's the same 200 in the message I want to display. Now till here, let me just try if it is fine. Okay, there is appears to be a small error. Mine block. It says there is a small block. Is there any spelling mistake? Methods I've told get define mine underscore block conditional. This appears to be fine. Um, what is the error in this? App root mine underscore block methods get.
Sorry, the third line, is it print previous block? Previous block.
Previous blockchain echo print. Okay, there is a spelling mistake. That's some typo error here and there. Okay, still there is some view function mapping is overwriting an existing endpoint function mine block. So there's a problem with the second line, or somewhere else have a specified mine block. Let's just quickly go over and see previous block, proof, blockchain, blockchain dot proof previous proof previous hash blockchain dot hash get block proof and previous hash. previous hash response we have given. What I'll do, let me make this as a comment. Fine, no probs, no probs. It's okay, don't worry. Now what we will do, we will display this blockchain the format. What I need to do, I need to say define display underscore chain, and I say my responses, the dictionary value of this chain, which is nothing but block dot chain. As well, let's go by the length, which is nothing but the length of blockchain dot chain. Now after this, what do? Once again, we need to return this JSONify. So I say return this JSONify of response and 200. Now let's try this. Perfect. Now what I need to do, I need to check the validity of the blockchain. So for which I'll have to define another function. Let's call it valid. So I say define valid. I have to make this conditional. I say my valid, this is my blockchain dot chain underscore valid of blockchain dot chain. Then I have to write, maybe I'll have to write simple if else statement if it is valid of this valid. So if I say if valid, I'll say my response is nothing but the message. We shall say let's say the messages, the blockchain is valid. Now what else if it is not so? So I say else responses, we shall say message the blockchain is not valid. Now what I need to do, I need to return once again my JSONify of my response, and we shall call back this 200. Now till here, fine. Now I need to run this, the whole of this thing what we have created, this blockchain on the local server. So we know that local server means what? It's a very simple thing. I should be saying app.run, where I specify my host as 127.0.0.1. And this, please understand, blockchain only listens to port 5000 on your system. No other port it listens to. So I have to run this. That's it. It is executed. It's running. At times, depending on the speed of your system, or if you're running it on a server, it might take, maybe the earliest maybe 10-15 minutes, or it can take even 2-3 hours for it to complete executing. What is it doing? It is mining the using your blockchain. It is it's mining for blocks. But please understand, see this, although this blockchain what we have created is the simplest blockchain, definitely, see, the backbone of creating any kind of a blockchain is more or less like this only. With definitely there will be a lot of things plus and minus to this, but more or less it's like this only, how it is created. You have to deploy your blockchain. Here we deployed it on the local server. That's why I've used 127.0.0.1. And port 5000 because listens to only port 5000, no other port. So since you're connected to the internet, definitely it will mine for blocks from the existing blockchain the world over. If you're successful in mining for a block, 100% you will not be successful with this kind of a program. If at all you write a program and you're successful in mining for a block, the blockchain community pays you ether. Minimum ether they pay you is 3 ether. 3 ether is around 2.4 2.5 lakhs. In no time, yeah, definitely you will get this thing that it will ask you for your bank credentials and other thing. It will credit the money into your account. and it is not a fake or anything. Definitely it will be credited. The minimum it starts with 3 ether. 1 ether is around 80,000. So 80 into 3, 2.4, 2.5 lakhs will be credited. Like we, if you remember when what we had spoken of in the we said every 10 minutes, the strength of this blockchain, they tighten up the blockchain. That is, if at all somebody is able to disrupt the blockchain, so definitely what happens, they keep the security features every 10 minutes. It is difficult to mine for a block. That is why you need huge equipments, hardware equipments for mining. I don't say it's not possible. It can be, maybe possible, but it is difficult using a local system and too much power consumption. Okay, if you have you completed here, or do you want me to scroll down the small spelling mistake? This again a spelling mistake of blockchain. BLOCK. So I'll let me execute all the way from here. Okay, let me just stop this because what has happened. Let me restart the kernel. I'll execute it. There are some spelling mistakes here and there. Let me execute everything. Yeah. So let me start off. Yeah, fine. No time. It has reached the last one. It is executing. Some spelling mistakes were there. You do. Does anybody want me to scroll down, or you have completed this? If you're done anything, if you require, you want me to scroll down? Anybody? Tell me, please. If you want me to scroll down, let me know. Unless you tell me, how will I come to know? Or if you're completed, please let me know. Friends, these projects which I told you sometime back, although I am even associated with this big university at Gujarat, I am not told a single student over there. Although those guys keep showing a lot of interest, I am not told anything to anybody. Okay, please capitalize on the opportunity and make maximum use of it. Because 1 or 2 more times you show this kind of an attitude of yours, I won't tell you the project thereafter. So I definitely want you guys to improve. I want you guys to get a wonderful job after you pass out of your engineering. Okay, have you completed this? Please let me know. Let's go back to Solidity.
Just 1 second.
Yeah.
Done, sir.
Okay, what about others? Somebody else tell me if you have done it, please. Nobody. Okay. Let's go back to our Ethereum ID, which I have opened it, minimized it, or we have changed over the screen. We get back to the project. See, this thing, what we did sometime back, you please take this as your lab experiment. You definitely need to replicate the same thing. That is the screenshot of the complete code. You need to screenshot of the code. You need not write it. Take a print of it. The screenshot of this, you need to place it in your lab record. And definitely you need to write what is the aim of the experiment and what is that you are able to achieve out of this experiment. Because there has to be some output. Otherwise, what is the use of doing all this? So don't worry, even I'll maintain a record that this is a lab experiment which we have done. You'll have to also maintain a record. And at the end of the course, you need to give me your e-record of yours. Okay, if you remember what we were doing the last time, somewhere here we had stopped off where we were about to jump into this concept of application binary interface. See, when you finish the Solidity coding and compiling successfully, the next step is to let this EVM execute the bytecode generated. And from the EVM point of view, transactions call data is just a byte array, and we need to understand how EVM interprets the byte array. Now, if all the programming language based on EVM uses the same standard to interpret the input data, then what will happen is it will be easier for them to interact with each other. That is why we need a ABI, or application binary interface, something like this Google protocol buffer. Google protocol buffer has got an ABI, which is a general purpose data exchange format specified by Ethereum. An ABI is applied to the interaction between external call and contract. Now, when a contract starts to run, the EVM memory structure would be something like, I would show you what it would be. It will be something like 0x 00, and there will be hyphen. You will have 0x3f, and this will be nothing but the space reserved for hash. And then you will also not space reserved for hash. It is not block hash, sorry. And then you will also have 0x40 hyphen 0x5f. This, see, all this what I'm telling you, this is the EVM memory structure, and this is nothing but the current memory size, which is basically, you can say, the free memory pointer. And these two are the EVM memory structure. See, the first 4 bytes of this call data are function selector, and parameter starts from the 5th byte. And the formula to generate the function selector, the formula which you use to generate. Now, first thing is, what is this function selector? See, the first, please understand one thing. If you are clear with what we had done till the week before, it must be really clear with you that there are any functions in any function selector. The first 4 bytes are call data. Of this first 4 bytes of the call data are function selector, and the parameter starts from the 5th byte. So the formula to generate the function selector is something like this. I shall remove it on the screen. It is bytes for keycac 256 of, I will say, the function name and parameter. I close, no, this inverted comma will be outside the bracket, and one more bracket would be there. Yeah. So now, for example, the function, if I write a function something like this, say I say function add unsigned integer 256, I say underscore space underscore a, and unsigned integer 256 space underscore b. This thing, let me say this is a public view. I say this is public view returns of this unsigned integer 256 result. So any function like this, here the calculation of the function selector, somebody tell me what will be the calculation of the function selector for the function which I've written in this line number 3? This is ADD. My apologies, ADD. So what will be the function selector for this calculation of the function selector for this function which you have written in this line number 3 in front of you? It definitely would be bytes 4 of keycac 256. We will add unsigned integer 256, unsigned integer 256. I close my bracket, inverted comma, and this. Yeah, that's fine. This is the calculation of the function selector. Okay, now I shall see, what is the minimal time which you guys have got before you pass out of your college? Anybody who's in the 8th semester, how many more months have you got before you pass out from your college? Tell me, please. I've got something for you.
Hardly 2 to 3, sir.
Okay. See, if at all everything goes well and this COVID we get it under control, I'll arrange a visit for you at ISRO lab, the nearest ISRO lab. How far is this Mahindragiri for you guys? There's a place called Mahindragiri on the way to Kanyakumari. Where do you know that there's a place called Mahindragiri, or otherwise in Tamil term it is called as Kavilkinar? And does anybody know there is an ISRO center over there, ISRO? See, the satellite is made, assembled at Bangalore. From here, it is taken to Mahindragiri, where the liquid propulsion is added to it. From there, it goes to the Balasore range from where it is fired. So I would, my intention was I wanted you guys to just go and see. It's not just a sightseeing over there, just to see how these guys work. See the intense amount of technology they put in, and how this satellite really looks like, which is about to be launched. The round the year work keeps going on over there. It's a highly classified and a secret place. Not all people, you cannot just walk into that place and say, I want to see this and come back. No, I shall arrange for you. Let's hope for the best. If COVID comes down, we shall definitely do something good for you, so that you guys can see that thing as to how any industrial setup really works. Okay, everything is totally dependent on COVID. Okay, coming back, see the data presentation. See, first what we need to know, we need to understand how this Ethereum virtual machine, EVM, presents data type in Solidity, and how EVM stores data and its assembly implementation. And on top of it, we can better understand the working mechanism of Solidity and how to estimate this gas. Now, for example, if I may say, I say this is S store. This costs about, let's say, 20,000 gas, which is about 5,000 times of that of basic arithmetic opcode. I can also say S load costs about, say, 200 gas, which is about 100 times of that of basic arithmetic opcode. Now, what we will do, keeping this in mind, we will introduce some fixed length types, such as basic type, struct, fixed length array, and all these such kind of things. Let's do one thing. Let's see an example of a small Solidity contract. Unless otherwise you have forgotten what we have done last time. How do I start a Solidity contract? What is the first line? Can somebody help me out?
Pragma Solidity, then
Yeah,
the version.
yeah. I say Pragma Solidity, my cap 0.4 point, let me say 24 semicolon. Then I say my contract, let me say variable test, var test, give a fla brace. And now I would say unsigned integer, let me say unsigned integer 256a. And then I say unsigned integer 256b, unsigned integer 256c. Now, along with this, what we shall now do, we shall now create what I shall say. I shall create a function. I shall say function, which I shall say, let it be called a C, and a curly brace. This C is nothing but, let me write a hex number. Let me say 0x, let me give some arbitrary number, 519BEF. And my curly brace. Let's do one thing. Softly, let's compile this. If this has got any errors, okay. This say current compiler 0.8 encrypted. Fine. This is
So the variable C, U in 256, there is a space there.
oh yes. No, that's okay. One second. This is Pragma Solidity. No, wait. Yeah, now it's fine. This is a warning. It's not a problem. Don't worry. Not at all a problem. Function is not A. Let me call it the function as C. And this C. Okay. Now it should be the warning. All, yeah, it's fine. It's not a problem. It's just a warning. It's not an error. See, a declaration of a storage variable does not incur any cost since there is no need for initialization, and solidity only keeps the space for the storage variable, and you only need to pay when you store values into it. So for example, storage variable A and B do not cost any gas because A and B are not used yet. Yeah, you only need to pay for storage slot 0x2, which is the address of variable C. We are only using this variable C. That's why you need to pay gas for only this variable C. Now, till here, is it fine? See, this basically, this one was just to say that you don't pay any gas for storage variable A and B because you're not using it. You're using only the storage variable C, so you need to pay gas for storage variable C. That you need to infer looking at this code, because please understand, even anywhere wherever you find a job requirement for anybody in blockchain, see, never is knowledge excess or anything. It is definitely useful for you. So when you see anywhere, when you go for an interview, they would give you a code like this. They'll tell you what is that you infer from this, or what is the output of this. You need to say, see, you need to pay only for this, you need to pay gas only for storage variable C because you're using only storage variable C. Okay. Now what we do, we will create a complex data type, that is a structure with three mentioned fields. What I said we will create a complex data type, which is nothing but a structure with three member fields. So what I shall do, knock off all these things, 0.4.24, okay. Then I say contract C. I say this is my structure, object struct. Then I say unsigned integer 256a, unsigned integer 256b, unsigned integer 256c. So we have created these three unsigned integer a, b, and c. Then what I do, we say object structure, we say t, and function c, and I give a curly brace over here. Now what I do, I say t dot c. This is nothing but let me say 0x519 BEF, and close and close. Let's compile this. Good, great, no errors in this. So now here in this we have saved the storage slot, the 0x519 BEF. Since this t into a is not used over here, we need not pay for this t into a, t dot a. Here we are using only t dot c, and we need to pay only for this t dot c since we assign some value to this t dot c in this function c. This second line, see, we are using this function c which we have created. In this we are using only t dot c, so we need to pay only for t dot c. For nothing else we need to pay going by this small little code which we have written. So you may just write this, and once you complete, you can let me know, so that gives me few little seconds of break also in between. And in the meanwhile, when you're writing, please bear it in your mind, get into publishing a paper. Let's have all of you at least send your paper for publication by 5th of next month, please. It will definitely be graded. More than the grade, what is important is your involvement in that. Either you can write it in, I give you an option, you can either write it in blockchain, or even in big data analytics, anything, any one of this. But my once again, my sincere suggestion: don't go in for a research paper. You will fall with your flat on your face. Please go in for a review paper. It will be a little more simple. That is, read through some professional papers, few little less professional papers, infer what is that you can infer from that, so that you suggest in your paper that whatever that person has told, a better way of doing any one concept, just any one concept, if you can suggest some better way of doing, that's great. Definitely it will be published, and you can for sure write it in your CV that you published it with any of the Scopus Index journals. And since it is COVID all over and presentation is only sitting at home, so you can sit at home and present it during the seminar, unless maybe it is somewhere in October, November or so, where you'll have to physically go and present. If it is anything next 2-3 months, it is definitely sitting at home. Don't worry, you need not go anywhere. It's a big thing what you'll be doing. Okay, have you completed this?
Yes, sir.
Okay, now what we will do, we will write a small example of a fixed length array, so that this tells us on what is a fixed length array. So any suggestion by anybody as to how do you write anything for a fixed length array? Say I want to create a simple fixed length array. How do I do it? Let me do one thing. Let me call the contract as, let's say, array test. I'll say my contract is array test, and I say unsigned integer 256 3 and numbers. Then I say I create a function called C and give a curly brace, and then I say my numbers. What we are writing here, I'll just tell you what is that. Maybe let me just write it. So this, let me say as 0x 519. What did we write earlier? BEF. Let's go by the same thing. Then let's compile it. Fine, absolutely no problem. Now in this, see, the rule for the fixed length array is the same as what is stated in what we did previously. And in this example which you see in front of you, although the 3-element array variable is declared, that is, this bracket 3 means it's a 3-element array is declared, we only need to pay for the assignment to the third element. Why? Because see, the numbers 2, the first is number 0, then number 1, number 2. We are using only numbers 2, so we need to pay only for the assignment to the third element. That is what is evident from the last line, that is line number 5. Once again, see, this is a fixed length array, an example of a fixed length array. See, the rule for fixed length array is the same as what is stated in what we had done previously. And in this example which you see in front of you, although we have wide this line number 3, we have created a 3-element array variable which you have declared. But what we will end up paying is only for the third element, because we are using only the third element, line number 5. Because the first element is number 0, the second is number 1, the third is number 2. We are using the numbers 2, that is the third element. We will only be paying for the third element. You may write some maybe 1 or 2 lines of small little comments here, so that it is beneficial for you when you open it up later and see. Let me know please when you have done.
Yes, sir, done.
Okay, let's see on how do we do presentation of dynamic data type. See, Solidity allows or Solidity provides some dynamic types which can be expanded with data growth. There are three dynamic types. The first is mapping, the second is array, and the third is byte array. The first is mapping, the second is arrays, and the third is byte array. We will see each one of them. This is nothing but how do you present the dynamic data type. The first one was mapping. So let's do one thing. Let's take a small example of mapping. If I ask you to write a small patch of a code in Solidity to show an example of mapping, what would you be doing? Please try it yourself. I shall also help you out. Definitely. Let me also think, what do I need to do? I need to create a simple example of mapping. So I say Pragma Solidity 0.4.24 and I say contract mapping test, mapping of unsigned integer 256, which is nothing but unsigned integer 256. And now what I'll do, I'll map the items. I'll map items. Then what I need to do, once I map the item, I have to use a constructor and make it public. So I say constructor, and this we make it public, and then we map items, and I say this will be 0x5f0 f9b3e. This thing would be nothing but 0x3f, and we have a semicolon. Let's see if you have gone wrong somewhere. We took a constructor, made it public. Yeah, this should be fine. Let's compile it. Perfect. No warning, no error, nothing. So this is a simple example of mapping, very, very simple example of mapping. And after you write it, my suggestion is please just compile it and see if you're getting any kind of errors. No problem, I shall wait for you, but please write it, compile it, and see if you're getting any errors. If you want, you can write for each line, you can write a comment, however you find it comfortable.
Sir, is it required that we go for hexadecimal value so we can go with any other values like numerical values?
No, it understands only. See, that is the beauty of blockchain. Everything is represented in hexadecimal values, so that it becomes difficult for a person if he wants to even crack it somewhere. An eavesdropper in between, he finds it difficult. All values are hex values.
Okay, sir. Done, sir.
Done. Okay. What about others? Somebody else also can tell me, please, if you have done it. Since I physically cannot see you, at least you can confirm it if you have done it. Somebody else. Okay. See, in Solidity, what is an array? Can somebody tell me what is an array? How do you define an array in Solidity?
Continuous block of memory, sir.
No. See, in Solidity, array is nothing but an upgraded version of mapping. It's an upgraded version of mapping. And this and any array, it costs more gas than mapping. And all the elements in the array will be saved in order in storage slots. And what happens? Access to these slots is exactly the same as querying key value pair in the database. And there are not many differences between accessing an array element and accessing a mapping item. And the main difference is that array access is much more complex and more stricter. Once again, see this in Solidity, array is nothing but an upgraded version of mapping. And array costs more gas than mapping. So, and access to this slots of array is exactly the same as querying the key value pair in the database. There are not many differences between accessing an array element and accessing a mapping item. And the main difference is that the array access is much more complex and much stricter. What we will do, we will take a small little example of an array. Let's create a simple, very, very simple array in Solidity. So let the first line remain the same. We say, let's call it contract array test. And then we say unsigned integer 256. And this I shall say as array 1. And definitely I need to use a constructor, which I shall say, and when I use a constructor, let me make it public. And I would say my array 1, and I use this push function of, I say, 0xAA, and close it. Thereafter, what I do, since I've used this array 1, um, uh, and I would also say array 1 dot push of 0xbb semicolon, then array 1 dot uh, uh, array 1 dot push 0xcc semicolon, close. Let me try compile this. Okay, there happens to be two errors in this. I presume this is, no, it is fine. Or spelling of push, push 0. This is not O, this is 0, this is also 0. So now let's compile it. Yeah, perfect. See, when you this simple example which we have created, a simple array, if you run this in Remix, you can try it in Remix later. When you run this in Remix, what will happen is you will get a structure which is all this hexadecimal code, half a page of some hexadecimal values, lot of key values, lot of these values you will find. And the length of the array, which is 3, in this case is saved in slot 0. The address for specific element follows the same calculation formula as that of mapping. And Solidity, if the size of array item is less than 32 bytes, what happens is this Solidity compiler will pack the array automatically, and in this way it minimizes the count of using this store opcode and therefore lower a gas fee. See, once again, after you write this, I shall tell you, you may please write this a simple array creation.
Yes, sir.
Okay. See in this one I said when you run it in Remix compiler, you will find a lot of this half a page of zeros and ones and a lot of key values in this. All zeros ones you'll find you'll get an output. See the length of the array, which is 3. Here we have taken, see, 0xAA, 0xBB, 0xCC, 3. Length of array here we have taken is 3. This 3 is saved into slot 0. Why? How do you say it is saved into slot 0? Because you're pushing it into 0xAA, 0xBB, and 0xCC. So it is saved into slot 0. The address for specific element follows the same calculation formula as that of mapping. And each array item is aligned to a 32 byte boundary. Now, if the size of array item is less than 32 bytes, the Solidity compiler will pack the array automatically. And in this way, it minimizes the count of using this store opcode and therefore lesser gas fee. Now, to byte the arrays, there are two cases. Now, if the length of the byte array is less than 31, the array occupies only number one slot, and the other rules are the same with string. And if the length of the byte array is larger than or equal to 31, the byte array is nothing but it is an empty set, like what you have written, unsigned integer, open close square bracket. And the address calculation here is the same as string and mapping. Okay, now can you see, do you know what is an encode? ENCODE encode? Anybody? Does anybody know what is an encode? See, call data is a byte array. Now, how do you interpret the byte array? That is why we need this application binary interface, that is ABI, since all call data follow ABI. So what we will do, we will describe the fixed length data type and dynamic length data type in maybe taking a few examples so that it is very clear in your mind. See, what did we say? We said that we will describe the fixed length data type and dynamic length data type in little bit of a detail so that it is very clear in your mind. What to start off, we'll write a small code which will be a very simple example, which includes a getter and a setter for variable object. If you remember, we had used this 2 weeks back when we had this 1 week break which we took in between. Before that, we had used this getter and setter function. See, one good thing about this blockchain is unless you are in touch with it on a day-to-day basis, it is definitely going to be a big dream. You will definitely not get anything. Now tell me one thing, how many of you say that you have gotten access to a book or anything from anywhere? Saida, have you got an access to a book anywhere?
Yes, so orally you said me, right? Publications. So
Did you get any, I mean, were you able to access a book from anywhere, maybe a college library or somewhere else?
no, sir, the colleges are closed, so not from college.
From
Online.
Online. See, what is free is utterly useless.
So the publications that you asked, that you suggested me, I went for those publications.
How did you get it online?
There is an app, sir, for that. Orally, you said me one publication.
Okay. Okay, what I'll do, see, one of the book which I have purchased sometime back, I think it's a 2019 or 2020 publication. Saida, I'll share it with you today before I go to bed. I'll email it to you, the PDF copy of that. You may kindly share it with your classmates so that everybody is benefited with this. It's a good book on blockchain, very good book on blockchain. Okay, I'll share it with you today.
Okay,
Okay.
sir.
Now what do? We write a simple example using which will use this getter and setter for variable obj or variable object. So how do I need to how do I go ahead by writing a simple example including this getter and setter for this variable obj? Let's have this first line as it is. So we say contact as example, and then I say unsigned integer 256, I say is my object, obj I say. then I create a function. I say my function set obj of unsigned integer 256 para, and this I need to make it public. I say public, and then I say my obj is para, and close my curly braces. Then I need to create a function where I'll be able to get the object, because in line number 4 I've set the object. I need to now get the object. So I say function object, this will be public returns of unsigned integer 256, and then I need to return this object. That's it. Let me compile it. A warning, it's not a problem, not at all a problem. Function state mobility can be reduced to this is okay. This is not a problem. You can you have compiled it success. It's not an error, it's a warning. Here we have set this object. First we have set the object, then we have got the object. In fact, what you can do after you compile it, you publish it on Swarm or IPFS. We publish it on Swarm. Done. See, the metadata, JSON metadata is this. This is the contract. See, this says this example was published successfully. This is a simple example which includes a getter and a setter for variable obj.
Yes, sir, done.
Done. Okay. See, external data is passed into the contract as call data. Any external data is passed into the contract as call data, and this call data is just a series of bytes, and EVM does not provide the parse method for call data, and we use the sample contract which we had done earlier, created earlier, for analysis purpose. So first what we do, we compile the we need to compile the contract. After you compile the contract, then you got something called as an assembly code. Assembly code is divided into two parts. You just need to remember this, that's more than enough. The first part of the assembly code is the invoke method, which is based on function selector, and the second part is the pass function parameter, which is the execute method and return. Okay, this okay, now see, we will, since we are speaking on this external call method, let's use this ABI encode, application binary interface encode, for this external call method. For this, what you need to use PyEthereum when you're doing it in Python. You need to use PyEthereum for demonstration and validation purpose. So first, what you need to do, let's go back to our Jupyter notebook. Where is our Jupyter notebook? Here. First, what you need to do, you need to install PyEthereum. So if your Jupyter notebook is open, and I hope you can see the Jupyter notebook in front of you. Are you able to see it?
Yes, sir.
Okay, let's first do one thing, import this PyEthereum. So for the first thing, what you need to do, from you need to say from Ethereum dot utils, you need to import SHA-3. You can run it. See, this may not be, because minute I say Ethereum, it will definitely look for Ethereum on the system, that if it is connected to a local LAN, may execute, may not execute. See, it's taking such a long time for this reason. Let's wait and see for some more time. No relief. We'll have to wait for some more time. Actually, what you need to do after you import this SHA3 from this ethereum.utils, you just need to say SHA3 of set object of this unsigned integer 256 close and my bracket close dot hex. That's it. If that executes, you can execute even this, you'll get a wonderful output. Oh, in fact, why is it not executing? Because the previous one is still running. Okay, fine. Let me, no module named Ethereum. So let's install Pi Ethereum. It has installed Pi Ethereum, tells me to restart my kernel. So what we do, we will just copy this line, execute it. ETHEREUM. HEREUM. Or do I need to just install Ethereum? Yeah. Let's wait for it to install this Ethereum. Then we can go ahead. Yeah, fine. Now I say this SHA, where is it? I say SHA3 offset object of unsigned integer 256 dot hex. Wonderful. This is the ABI encode for external method call. Now, if at all you've got, see, since this is for external method call, now suppose you got fixed length data type, such as say this unsigned integer 256. What will be the equivalent Python code for that? You will say from ethereum.abi, we shall import encode underscore ABI. And then let's try this. Fine. Then I say encode underscore ABI of I'll say unsigned integer 256 unsigned integer 256 thrice I give this unsigned integer 250. This will assign it to three numbers, 1 2 3, and this I would say dot hex. Let's try this. See, here, see, all the three data types which you have used, 1, 2, and 3, all three are unsigned integer 256. Now tell me one thing, what will happen if I have all three data types different? Say I have one of them as integer 8 and one as say unsigned integer 32 and the last one as say unsigned integer 64. What will happen? Let's see. I say encode underscore ABI of integer 8, unsigned integer 32, um, unsigned integer 64. All three I've taken different. Now I say 1, 2, 3. And this I would say dot hex. Now let's see what output I get for this. See this. The output, see, pay attention to both the output 4 and output 5. Is there any difference? Like if the data type is like this, integer 8, unsigned integer 32, whose length is less than 256, it will be automatically aligned to 32 bytes or 256 bits. That is why, see, when you see this output of 4 and output of 5, both are exactly the same. Because if bit or 32 byte. Now, for the fixed size array, now if you have a fixed size array, you need to write it actually in this way. You say encode underscore ABI. Then I say um, integer 8 of my 3. Then I say integer 256 of 3, close my inverted comma, close my square bracket, comma, and then I say 1, 2, 3, and then I say 4, 5, 6, and this whole thing dot hex. Now when I execute this, see what I get. Says if you have a fixed size array. See, all this what you're doing is for fixed size array. If you're with me till here, you can let me know so that we can go ahead. Let me know, please, after you have done.
Yes, sir.
Okay. See, for a dynamic head tail scheme, see, if therefore dynamic data type, this Solidity ABI uses head tail scheme. Dynamic part will be put at the tail of the call data, while the parameter is put at the head of the call data, which points to the start of the dynamic part. You will see, you'll be able to realize when you see the output in the next patch of code which we write, which is nothing but for a dynamic data type. Here you will be able to see that this Solidity ABI uses head tail scheme, where the dynamic part will be put at the tail of the call data and the parameter is put at the head of the call data, which points to the start of the dynamic part. Let's see this. So we say encode underscore ABI, and I unsigned integer 256, um, signed integer 256, my inverted commas, and then again unsigned integer 256. These three close, and then I would say, let me use some hex values. I say 0 x d1, um, and I say 0x d2, 0x d3, and I shall separate this with 0x e1, 0x e2, 0x e3, and this we will have it, oh, this is not O, this is 0x e3. Then this will have it separated from 0x, let's say f1, 0x dot we shall, why this red
Sir, this class still going on?